Today, we are going on an absolutely incredible journey. We're going to shrink down, way, way down, to explore the microscopic universe that powers every single living thing on this planet. We're talking about the cell. So, let me ask you a question. What are you really made of? I mean, if you go deeper than skin and bone and muscle, what's the absolute fundamental unit that makes you, well, you? The answer is the cell. And it's not just one of them. Your body is a bustling community of over 30 trillion cells, all working together. It's mind boggling. So, how did we even find out about this hidden world? Well, our story starts way back in 1665. An English scientist, Robert Hooke, was messing around with a pretty primitive microscope. He put a thin slice of cork under the lens, and what he saw looked like a honeycomb. Just a bunch of tiny, empty boxes. He called them cells, from the Latin word for small room. He had no idea, absolutely no idea, that he had just given a name to the fundamental unit of all life. Hooke's discovery, though, kicked off a scientific revolution. It was like a starting pistol. Just a few years later, a guy named Leuwen Hooke saw the first living cells, little creatures swimming around in a drop of pond water. Then, more than a century after that, Robert Brown spotted the cell's control center, the nucleus. Each discovery was a piece of the puzzle, leading to one of the most important ideas in all of science. So, before we take a tour of this microscopic city that is the cell, we need to understand the basic laws that govern it. Think of this as, the city's constitution, the absolute rules of the road. And that constitution is the cell theory. It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. First, if it's alive, it's made of cells. Second, the cell isn't just a box, it's where the work of being alive actually happens. And third, and this is a big one, you can't just whip up a cell from scratch. Every single cell has to come from another cell that divided. It's an unbroken chain stretching all the way back to the very first life on Earth. Now, life doesn't just follow one blueprint. There are two major city plans, if you will. On one side, you've got your simple prokaryotic cells. Think bacteria. Their DNA just kind of floats around inside. But then you have the eukaryotic cell. That's the kind that makes up you, me, plants, animals, everything we can see. And the key difference is huge. Eukaryotic cells have a secure command center, a nucleus, to keep their precious DNA safe. And that's exactly where we're headed now. So let's step inside. Let's take a tour of this bustling metropolis, the eukaryotic cell, and meet all the little workers and structures that keep it running 24/7. Every city needs a border, right? And the cell has one of the most sophisticated borders you can imagine, the cell membrane. Now, this isn't some rigid brick wall. It's a flexible, living barrier made of fats and proteins. Its whole job is to be a super selective gatekeeper, carefully controlling every single thing that comes in and everything that goes out. So, how does this gatekeeper manage all that traffic? Well, it has three main tricks up its sleeve. Small stuff like oxygen molecules can just drift right through. That's called diffusion. Water has its own special VIP process called osmosis. But for the big cargo, or to push something out when it doesn't want to go, the cell has to spend some energy. That's called active transport. And it's powered by the cell's universal energy currency, a molecule called ATP. And believe me, that balance of water is absolutely critical. Just look what happens here. If a cell ends up in, say, pure water, what scientists call a hypotonic solution, all that water on the outside desperately wants to get inside to balance things out. It rushes in so fast that the cell just swells up like a water balloon and can even pop. And yeah, the opposite is totally true too. If you put a cell in a really salty solution, a hypertonic solution, there's more water inside the cell than outside. So the water rushes out and the poor cell just shrivels up. This is literally what's happening on a cellular level. When you eat a big bag of salty chips and suddenly feel incredibly thirsty, your cells are losing water. This whole water pressure thing explains a huge difference between animal cells like ours and plant cells. See, every cell has that flexible membrane we talked about. But plants add an extra layer of defense, a super tough, rigid cell wall. It's like a suit of armor that gives the plant cell structural support, stops it from bursting, and lets plants stand up tall without needing a skeleton. Okay, we've made it past border security. Now let's head to the most important building in this entire city, the command center, the brain of the whole operation. Let's go to City Hall. Welcome to the nucleus. This is usually the biggest and most obvious structure in the whole cell. And for good reason. It's basically a fortress, protected by a double-layered border called the nuclear envelope. That envelope is covered in little pores that act like guarded gates, controlling exactly what gets access to the city's most vital documents. And what are those top-secret documents? They are the chromosomes. These are just tightly coiled structures made of DNA. And this DNA? This is the master blueprint. It contains all the genetic information, the genes, that hold the instructions for building every protein and for running every single activity in the entire cell. Everything starts here. Alright, with the blueprints safe and sound in the nucleus, let's get out into the cytoplasm and explore the rest of the city's infrastructure. You know, the factories, the power plants, and the sanitation crews that actually carry out all the DNA's orders. Spreading out from the nucleus, you see this huge network of folded membranes? That's the endoplasmic reticulum, or just the ER for short. It's part highway system, part industrial park. The parts that look rough because they are studded with these tiny dots called ribosomes, that's where the cell builds most of its proteins. The smooth ER handles other stuff, like making fats and lipids. Now, the things made in the ER aren't quite ready to ship out yet. First, they have to make a stop at the Golgi apparatus. Think of this as the city's central post office, or maybe its FedEx hub. Here, those brand new proteins and lipids get modified, sorted, and given a precise shipping address. Then they're packed up into little transport bubbles called vesicles and sent on their way. Now, none of this would work. Not the manufacturing, not the shipping, not the security at the gate. None of it could happen without energy. Every great city needs a source of power. And in the cell, that crucial job belongs to the mitochondria. You've probably heard of these. They are the legendary powerhouses of the cell. A single cell can have hundreds, even thousands of them, all working tirelessly. What they do is take in nutrients, like sugar, and through a process called cellular respiration, they generate a constant supply of that ATP energy molecule. They fuel everything. Of course, any busy city is going to produce a lot of trash and have parts that wear out. That's where the lysosomes come in. These are the city's sanitation and recycling crew. They're basically little bags filled with powerful digestive enzymes. They hunt down and break down old, worn-out parts. They digest invading bacteria. They basically keep the whole cellular environment clean and running smoothly. So we've toured the city. We've seen how it works day to day. But there's one final and maybe most important process we need to talk about. How does the city ensure its legacy? How does it grow, repair itself, and pass its precious blueprint on to the next generation? It all happens through cell division, and there are two main ways. On one hand, you've got mitosis. This is for everyday life, for growth, for healing a cut. It's about making a perfect copy. So one cell becomes two identical daughter cells. But for sexual reproduction, you need something different. That's meiosis. This is a special division that shuffles the genetic deck to create 4 unique sex cells, each with only half the DNA. This is why kids get a unique mix of treats from their parents. It's all thanks to meiosis. It's just amazing when you think about it. From a simple observation of a little room in a piece of cork, all the way to understanding this complex, intricate city of organelles and the processes that allow one single cell to become trillions. It all just makes you wonder what other incredible secrets are still locked away, waiting for us to discover inside the fundamental unit of life.